Welcome to Spa Marketing Made Easy, a podcast for spa owners who want to step up their leadership and business skills and step into the role as spa CEO. I'm your host, Daniela Warner, CEO of Addo Aesthetics and founder of the Growth Factor Framework program, where we teach, coach, and guide spa owners in scaling their spas to the next level of growth and unlocking freedom in their life and their business. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's dive into the show. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I am so excited to share something very special with you today. So a few years ago, I had an opportunity to sit down with my friend Selena Soo and have an amazing conversation about relationships, personal growth, and building deeper connections, both personally and professionally. This was the second time that she was on our podcast, but this episode really stuck with me after we hit the stop recording button. Number one, because relationships are first and foremost for me, but also because I really had started being intentional maybe a year or two before this was recorded around really putting the same level of energy and effort into nurturing the relationships, both personally and professionally, around me as I did into growing my business. And I think for those of you that are entrepreneurs, that you have your own spas, you know that like so much of our time and energy and just mental space goes into our business. And I asked myself the question, like, what would change in our lives if we dedicated just like 10% of the time and money and energy into nurturing the relationships, both personally and professionally, with those around us? So, of course, I was super excited, incredibly thrilled that Selena's brand new book, Rich Relationships, is coming out. It is packed with the same heart, wisdom, and actionable insights that made our original conversation so wonderful. So in celebration of her upcoming launch, I'm going to replay that original interview today. And to make it even better, Selena so generously offered the first 4 chapters of Rich Relationships absolutely free. You'll find the link to grab those chapters in the show notes. And even if you listened to this episode when it first aired, I encourage you to listen again with fresh ears. I am somebody who I will read a book more than once. I will listen to an episode more than once, because when you listen with fresh ears, when you listen at a different place in your entrepreneurial journey, you're going to get different things out of it. You're going to pick up more gems the second time around. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into that conversation with my wonderful friend, Selena. All right, Selena, welcome to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. I'm so excited to have you for a second time on the show. You were on the show like years ago, back in the beginning when we were first getting this thing going. So thank you for that. I'm so happy to have you on again.
Yes, I'm thrilled to be back.
When I think of you, I think of someone who is just a master connector. You are so good at building rich relationships. What I also love is that you are an introvert.
Yes.
And so to be able to have this superpower of connecting people and building really authentic, deep relationships with so many individuals, being able to have that capacity, yet also still nurture yourself.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's a talent.
It is. Yeah. It is a bit of a juggling act.
Yeah. I was thinking about you last night. We were both at a party where there were over 100 people, which was overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
But you, I think, had friendships with pretty much everybody in that room.
It was so much fun. But I will say that after, big parties, because that was like a 4-hour event. And then there was also the after party. Yeah. I did have to like rest a little bit this morning. But yeah, that was so fun.
So having this skill set of building rich relationships has helped you build your own incredible company.
Yes.
Helped you help others build their companies. Tell me a little bit about what you do, and has this always been a through line for you, or was this something that you developed?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to tell you how I got started. So I'm a publicity and marketing expert, and I got into this world because when I was in my mid-20s, I had a quarter life crisis. I found myself clinically depressed, having trouble getting out of bed in the mornings, trouble eating. And things got so bad that my mom flew from Vancouver, Canada to New York to be by my side. And she would, accompany me on the subway, like taking me to work like I was this schoolgirl. And it was just such a low point. And I remember, talking to friends and saying, like, I just have to find a way to get better. Do you know anyone who can help me? And that's when I learned about this female life coach and, joined her community, her group program, and got exposed to all these experts and authors and thought leaders. And I realized that, when people are struggling and suffering, as we all do, whether it is, we're struggling with our life purpose, or it could be a relationship issue, a money issue, a health issue, that we don't just need more information. What we're really looking for is inspiration. And I think that there is nothing that is more powerful than a role model. So someone who embodies that message of hope and possibility, someone who has gone through hard times and come out the other side and has like a roadmap for people, right? And so I just became really passionate about promoting these, or telling people, my friends, have you heard about this person and that person? And they had no idea who I was talking about. So it just really dawned on me that sometimes the person with the most important message that someone really needs to hear can be that best kept secret. So I, started doing this work in publicity because I wanted these people to get their messages out into the world. And so I think in terms of me being a connector, it's not because I am super extroverted, but rather I'm really driven by a mission. I really want, these amazing people who are helping people's lives, whether it's like looking better and feeling better, or, healing their body, to get their message out, to connect with the right people, to make their biggest impact. So definitely driven, by helping people get connected to the people who can really change their lives.
But to create those connections, that's beautiful, by the way. But to create those connections, it's like, how do you know who to connect with? How do you know, like, how do you form those relationships in the first place? Because as you get older, it's hard to make friends, right?
It is, yeah. So there's a couple of things to keep in mind when you're thinking about, well, who do I connect with? So the first is you've got to get clear on what your goals and dreams are. Because influencers, and those are people that I call influencers, people who can help you reach your goals and dreams faster. They're going to be connected to what's most important to you. So is, your dream to build, a 6-figure or 7-figure business? Is it to write a best-selling book? Is it to make an impact in a certain number of people's lives? But getting really clear on what your top goals and dreams are is number one. And then number two is also getting really clear on what your values are in relationships, because there may be people who are successful and could potentially support you, but you might just not energetically resonate with them, just a different set of values. And so that doesn't really work for a relationship. And then the third thing is understanding who are the types of people that can help you, because I think people from all walks of life and, all stages of business can be helpful, from people who are mentors who have kind of figured out the journey that you're on and can help you get there faster, to people who are natural super connectors and have so much joy, introducing people to one another, or people with reach that you could build partnerships with and who could put you in front of more of your ideal clients. Super fans who could be your clients who can't stop talking about you, to your friends, family, colleagues who really believe in you. And so you want to get clear on who are all those different types of people who can contribute to you getting to your goals faster, making sure that there's shared values, and then starting to build those relationships.
Now, for spa owners, they're, brick and mortar.
Yes.
How are they going out in their community? Like, I love the idea of the super fans. Like, every spa is going to have some type of super fan. But what are you like knocking on doors and be like, hey, we serve the same type of person, or let's be friends, let's build a rich relationship? We were talking a little bit before about the difference between like, hey, let's build a business partnership, which is great and valid.
Yes.
But how much better that business partnership actually works and functions when you have a real rich relationship with that individual. So
yeah, no, I have so many thoughts coming up because when it comes to building relationships, like we don't want to scare people by coming on too strong. Like, can we build a partnership is not a level 1 conversation, right? There's usually like steps in between to getting to know someone. But one way that you can really accelerate relationship building is actually by building your personal brand. So, way before it was, what do you know? Now, and then it's been like, well, who do you know? And I would say that today it's who knows you, right? So you want people to know who you are and be attracted and curious about your work. And so building your personal brand, and there's so many ways to do it, with your website, on social media, but really like expressing yourself in different ways where even if someone hasn't had like a in-depth conversation, they can get a sense of who you are, what you stand for, what's unique about you. And that's also why I really love publicity, because I think that publicity is the fastest way to elevate your brand. You can share your story ideas, why you started your business, why you're so passionate about this, what makes you unique. And so it's like you're raising your credibility and profile, but you're also getting your message into all these places. And you can repurpose it on social media and newsletters and websites. But that would be, a big part of attracting rich relationships is having a personal brand and putting yourself out there.
I love that. And I have never heard anybody say that before. And it's so brilliant and makes so much sense of the power of the personal brand. I mean, we're even seeing employees like on LinkedIn and different places really cultivating their own personal brand to, get job offers and things like that. So to really tie it in as the spa owner, as someone who wants to be a pillar of their community and wants to connect with others, by you showing up and putting yourself out there and saying, this is what I stand for, this is what I'm about, you're saying that's going to attract other people to you to want to start those relationships.
And it also creates trust when someone is consistently showing up, online. You're being seen in multiple places versus, okay, this is someone brand new who I don't know. So yeah, kind of like creating your brand, expressing yourself, right? Putting yourself out there. That's one of the first steps. And then another step is really getting clear on how you can add value to others. Because the truth is every single person is incredibly busy with a full life with, family duties and things happening in their career and for themselves, that if they're going to make space for more people in their life, they have to be someone that, adds value in some way. And there's so many different ways to add value, like even being a person who is a good listener, who asks good questions, who's present. Like that's a way to add value. Another really powerful way is giving someone a compliment and showing them that you really see them and their brilliance or appreciate something about them. And there's countless ways to add value. People will say, well, how do I know what someone wants? I'm not a mind reader. And, at the end of the day, like as humans, there's only, a few things that we all tend to want. And if you're connecting with other entrepreneurs, it's even, a smaller number. But, everybody wants to grow their wealth, right? They want to have abundance in their life. So that means, new clients and referrals and growing their business, right? Creating new offers, services. So that's one thing that everyone wants. Another thing that people want is to make an impact, to be sharing their message and their ideas with more people, even if they're not like their, clients at their spa, but maybe they're reading their, beauty tips and it's transforming their lives. And as someone who's making an impact, maybe, you're being recognized as the top of, your industry and what you do. So there's like also status there. Another thing that people really want is peace.
Yes.
Right? Peace. Because as business
I feel like
owner,
I align that with time also.
That connects. Yeah. So there's time, right? So everybody wants to save time. And so when you're building relationships, you also don't want to, come up with ways to, like, you're thinking you're building the relationship, but you're like, I don't want to say wasting, but it's like 3 or 4 hours of someone's time that might not be like the first kind of way that you connect, right? It's like you should be connecting in a way where you're actually helping them save time, whether it's helping them find people that can support them with their business or get results faster. And then the peace thing, because, a lot of people are stressed, whether they're stressed in their business or there's a family stressor or health or relationships. And so, by being a sounding board, by connecting people to the right resources, by sharing our expertise, we can create more peace in other people's lives.
So would you, all those kind of step by step that you just shared, would you identify those as pieces of a rich relationship? Like as you're going out and building, like how do you define?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to do all those things, but you want to be a rich relationship is a relationship that contributes to your life, right? It enhances your life. It fulfills you. It's something that brings abundance to you versus a relationship that is just like purely transactional, short-term thinking, or just doesn't feel good. It's like a relationship that's like meant to last and really bring joy and fulfillment.
I love that. So I want to pivot just a little bit and talk about a little more on the business side of building partnerships. So
yes.
We know that relationships are deeply important, and building those rich relationships, it can take time.
Yes.
And, it does take time and energy and effort to be able to make sure that that person feels seen, heard, valued, that you're both providing value to the relationship, that it's not one-sided, et cetera.
Yes.
But as you're building a business, creating partnerships with other businesses, creating relationships with other businesses can be a very, very valuable tool to help you grow, especially for brick and mortar. We're seeing that so much with spas right now that are, like going to the Pure Bar or the Orange Theory or wherever, that are these franchises where they're building relationships with those owners. They serve the same audience. But you are a master in that. That was one of the strategies that you used to grow your company to be so wildly successful. Talk to me about, and you had like 400 partners,
yes,
right? Like,
over the years.
Over the years.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about that strategy and kind of some suggestions that you would give to a brick and mortar spa.
Yeah. So the great thing about partnerships is you're not just promoting to your existing audience, you're leveraging other people's audiences, people that have customers that know, like, and trust them. So that's really powerful, because instead of just marketing to one audience, you could be marketing to 10 audiences, 100 audiences simultaneously. But when you're getting started, you want to keep it simple. You only need like a few key partnerships to make a big impact. And so with partnerships, you always want them to be win-win. And you want to be putting yourself into the other person's shoes, because, every business owner, they are busy, they are overwhelmed. And so they want to say yes to something that feels easy and that is going to give them a meaningful return on their time and investment. And so really putting yourself in someone else's shoes. I think that when you're building a partnership, you have to really prioritize like what's going to be important to the other person. And so with our Impacting Millions launch, which is our publicity program, we make it, because basically it's an additional revenue stream for people, but they have their own products and services to promote, right? Every business does. And so thinking about, how can you make it so easy for them to say yes? How can you offer like the best possible commissions or incentives, marketing materials. So it's just very, very easy for them to win.
In spa, I mean, we have such an advantage in spa, because who doesn't want a spa treatment, right?
Yes.
It's like,
I know.
You can offer that as like either earning, like for influencers that are posting about having a treatment at the spa or coming in and, there's so many different ways that we can do that. We usually call that a brand ambassador program, but it's very similar in building relationships to get people to post and share and refer.
I love that, because that's one of the keys to building a partnership. No one's going to promote you unless they feel like they can really vouch for your work, right?
Yes.
And so in order to vouch for, your work, they need to have an experience of it. So, giving away something for free, in exchange for them to consider sharing it in some way if it's like an exceptional service. So yeah, you definitely want to be leading with generosity in the beginning, and people being just like so delighted by the experience. It just feels like natural and organic for them to want to tell others about it.
Yeah. So what is your strategy or any tips on finding potential partners in a local area?
Yeah, absolutely. So with your existing customers, asking them, who are the other service providers that they work with when it comes to, beauty and health and lifestyle. So that could be a part of a questionnaire. It could be a conversation that you have with people. I've sent an email, out to my list before asking things like, when it comes to growing your business and your visibility online, who are some of the top experts that you follow? What are the podcasts that you listen to? And so people are supplying you with all these names, and all these people are potential partners.
Oh, that's so. Have you ever heard of SparkToro? Have you ever heard of
No, I heard of it recently, but I'm not familiar with it.
It's such a cool website. We'll link it up below.
Yes.
They have a free trial, and then there's a paid version as well.
Okay.
But you can essentially put in estheticians.
Okay.
You can put in, and it will go through and do all of this research of these are the podcasts, these are the magazines, these are,
Oh my goodness.
So we paid for a 30-day
Okay.
block, and we were able to get hundreds of magazines, websites, podcasts. So you get to see where people who have that job title, and there's all different, you can put in working moms, you can put in whatever you want. And I just found that to be so insanely valuable because it's cutting down the time of well, if I am doing publicity,
yes,
then maybe these are the publications that I actually want to target and try and get into.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who doesn't want a shortcut?
I know. So talk to me about your thoughts on what publicity can do for a spa.
Absolutely. So, when it comes to your business, it's one thing if you're telling everyone, I'm the best at what I do, but it's a whole other thing if someone else is saying that. And especially a media outlet that is endorsing you, that is saying this is one of the top 5 spas, or this spa has the best, XYZ treatment. So it's really that, stamp of approval and credibility. And a lot of people, they need this expert source to filter, what is the best of the best. That's how people make their decisions. And the cool thing with media is you get that media hit, and you can use that, media logo, that name, for the entire lifetime of your business that you've been featured in this place. So I would say, ideally as business owners, you want to have at least, 3 strong media wins that we can use as a part of our branding to attract our ideal clients.
Very good. All right. Anything else that I am not asking that would be valuable around publicity or relationships for spa owners?
Yeah. So I think what also would be really helpful for people is just, story ideas, thinking about, how do I talk about my business, but not just have it seem like I'm wanting someone to produce an advertisement.
Come to this spa. Yeah.
Right. And so, you want to come up with story ideas that are going to appeal to the media. And the story ideas that they're most interested in are ones that are service driven, that add value to their audiences. So even if maybe someone can't go to the spa, but what are some, top beauty tips, right? From top estheticians and things like that. How to, mistakes to avoid, those are really popular. And they're also really interested in story ideas that have emotional resonance, right? Big transformations or breakthroughs. Or big things to avoid. And then they are also really interested in timely story ideas. And so, during different times of the year, whether it's, Valentine's Day or Mother's Day or different seasons, winter, summer, you can put different angles on your stories to make them feel really relevant for right now. So I actually have this amazing resource, and it's a 12-month publicity calendar. So it's just 40 pages full of story ideas, dates, and hooks to really get the media's attention. And we have it, just different ideas for all kinds of industries, including, health and wellness and beauty.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, so we'll be sure to link that up below.
And it's impactingmillions.com/calendar.
Wonderful. All right, we'll link that up. Well, Selena, thank you so much. You just packed so much information.
We did.
Yeah, it
Yay.
was boom, your stuff. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your friendship. I'm so happy to share you with our audience. And for those of you that want to keep this conversation going, make sure that you head on over to the Spa Marketing Made Easy Facebook group and make sure that you get that resource. That is super, super valuable. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Quick reminder before you leave. If your spa growth still depends on you doing more, it's time for a shift. Watch The System Shift, a free training designed to help spa owners break past that $25,000 to $35,000 month plateau without adding more treatment hours. You'll learn the CEO level systems that help you scale while protecting your time, your values, and your peace. Go to grow.autoaesthetics.com/podcast and watch The Systems Shift. That's grow.autoaesthetics.com/podcast.